Hey everyone, Grandmaster Ben Finegold here. Somebody sent me an email asking me about Sicilian with bishop g5 instead of, I guess, what my last video was about, which was the Velimirovich attack. Unless I've made a video in the interim, which is possible. So what they mean is I play the classical Sicilian with black, which is this position. Okay, and I've had this position maybe 40 times in the last 20 years. Last video we looked at bishop c4 and bishop e3, queen e2, which is the Velimirovich attack. And somebody pointed out that white's been doing well with bishop g5, which is called the Rauzer. Although at the top level, we very rarely see black playing this line. Black usually plays the knight orf, and the difference is, black has a pawn on a6 and the knight's back on b8. And then bishop g5 is pretty common. It's a little bit different here. Okay, so I've had black in the Rauzer many times. It's a very interesting opening. And I don't really like the fact that at the top level now, there's a lot of double king pawn and a lot of draws. It seems like when we see sharp Sicilians like this, there's very few draws, even at the top level. So that's more interesting for the spectator, obviously. But what are you going to do? Okay, so the difference between me and the top players as far as tournaments is 95% of the time, top players, when I say top, I mean top 10, top 20, they're playing each other. Conversely, 95% of the time, I'm playing two kinds of people, Rufus and Doofus. So if I'm playing in open tournaments in the United States, usually I have one or two tough games, and then I have 2, 3, 4 games where my opponents are rated under 2,200. So I don't want to have a boring position and draw with black and win with white. I need to win every game. Occasionally, I'll play in a stronger tournament, which I've been doing lately. I've played in a lot of the Norman GM tournaments in St. Louis, and then I play everybody is pretty good. But that's not the norm for me. I play a lot of players under 2,200, and I can't get boring equal positions, whereas I can do that against players higher rated than me because they might try too hard to win. Okay, and also I don't mind drawing somebody 25-50, but somebody 21-50. All right, so I play a lot of different stuff here with black. This is my game with Sergey Kudrin from the U.S. Championship about 10 years ago. And I used to play just bishop e7 and castles, and then I started playing a6. And it was funny, the first time I played h6, Pascal Charbonneau in Philadelphia played a line I never saw before. It was a common line, I just didn't know it. And then I faced it a lot since then, so now I know it. White can play almost any move here. Bishop h4, bishop f4, bishop e3, knight c6. They're all theory. So Kudrin played knight c6 and bishop f4, which is what Charbonneau played against me many years before. And I've had this position here maybe 8 or 9 times. Okay, d5, queen e3. This is normal theory. Black can play, I think, 3 moves here. Bishop e7, bishop e4, queen a5. I always play bishop e7. Okay, bishop e2. And now, a lot of grandmasters and other strong players castle with black and get checkmated, and I don't like castling into the attack. I'm worried about sacrifices on h6 and other kinds of stuff. So the move knight d7 is also reasonable, and lately I've been playing bishop b7, just developing my bishop and defending the center more. Knight d7 is usually where the knight belongs, as it protects e5, and my bishop can go to g5 in some positions, and I can control c5 and b6. So knight d7 is a pretty good move. Okay, he played h4, which stops any bishop g5 idea I might have had. Bishop b7, and queen g3. Okay, so usually in this opening, black's castling kingside, which obviously I can't do here because then my g-pawn would be pinned. But I never castle kingside in this variation. I've never done it. I never will. I always play king f8. And I like king f8 because I like my rook on h8 defending the kingside. And I like my king on f8 defending the g-pawn and the f-pawn. If I castle, I don't really like my rook on f8 because it's not good at defending my g and h pawns, but now it is. Now, the reason I like black here, and nobody else does, no computer does, no human does, I'm the only one, is black has a very nice center. Black just strategically better because I have the open B file. I have a center with lots of pawns, there's triangle formation, and eventually I can advance in the center. So strategically, black has a good game. It's just that his king's on f8, his rook's on h8, and he has to sort of get out. If you know a lot of my games of the closed Benoni, check Benoni, block Benoni, I'm always playing king f8, my rook's always trapped, and center's usually blocked there. Here I actually have a nice center. Okay, so he played king b1, always play king b1. I played bishop f6. He attacked my queen, I saw it and moved it. I can't go to e7. I mean, I can physically go to e7. Then he plays bishop d6 and wins my queen. Okay. That's the Donald Trump variation. After bishop d6, Trump would say, I didn't realize how hard chess was. Okay, so queen e8, f4. And yeah, he's really trying to attack me now with the move f4. And luckily, I have this idea, king g8. So my king can try to escape, my bishop, my knight, and my queen can all go to f8. And the problem with white playing e5, which looks aggressive, is then I can advance in the center later. It's hard to play c5 with black because you might lose your d-pawn, but if white ever plays e5, then it's not hard. So I like king g8, bishop d6, not sure if that's so good, a5, rook hf1, and I played bishop takes knight finally. And bishop takes knight you could only play if you've calculated and figured out that things are working out for you. It's not really strategical to give up your dark square bishop, but it works out here because after queen takes, I have knight f6. And I'm threatening knight e4, which is very strong. It wins a pawn, it forks his queen and bishop. So this is tough for white already because knight e4 is so strong. He took on d5, which is anti-positional because I really don't want my pawn on c6. It's weak and backward. And he gives up his center pawn for a side pawn. I interposed knight e4 and took on d5. So strategically, black's already winning. I have 2 pawns to 0 in the center. I have a knight on e4. I have 2 open files to my opponent's king. He has 0. But okay, my rook on h8 is a little suspicious. I guess if I could transfer my rook to c8, you guys would like my position more. It looks like I castled then. Okay, so he played bishop d3. I played bishop a6. If he takes my knight, I'll win the exchange. So his rook on f1's hanging. So he played bishop e5. I took his bishop. Well, he took with the pawn. If he takes with the queen or the rook, my knight's on e4 forever. I mean, we couldn't even end the game. You'd think like the game would be over at some point, but with my knight on e4, it's there forever. So we'd still be playing. So luckily he took with the pawn. And I moved my knight because I have another good square for my knight, which is f5. And first I played a really nice move h5. So obviously when I play knight f5, I don't want him to play g4 and start mating me and kicking my knight out. So yeah. I guess if he plays rook f3, I would just play knight f5 attacking his h-pawn, and then I would play h5. So I played h5 here. He played rook c2, and my knight is beautiful. And even though it probably makes more sense in a general sense of having my kingside rook on h8 like on the queen side somewhere, actually I have better squares for it on the king side because his kingside pawn structure doesn't make any sense. I like to call it the accordion pawn structure because it's doing this. Okay, so he played rook h1, defending his h-pawn, and I played rook h6. So I did a rook lift or a rover, and strategically, again, white's losing because my knight on f5 is good, all his kingside pawns and his d-pawn are weak, and I have an attack on his king later, and he doesn't have an attack on my king. Main reason he's losing is he really can't defend all of his weak pawns. Okay, he attacked my a-pawn, I defended it, and I activated my rook. Rook g4, defending my, well, stopping him from taking my h-pawn. Queen f2, defending his h-pawn. Queen e7, attacking his h-pawn again. Rook c7, attacking my queen. And yeah, all his pawns are weak. d4 is a good move. It fixes his pawn on d3 and gives me the d5 square for my queen. Gives me the e3 square for my knight. which I used pretty quickly, it looks like. Knight e3, bishop takes d4. So the idea is, if he plays the obvious move, rook takes d4 because his rook's attacked. I play rook g2, threatening his queen, and if queen takes knight, I have mate. So that would be bad for him. All right, so he played bishop takes d4. I mean, he's got to do something because I'm going to play knight takes rook or rook takes g2. So, and I won the exchange, and this was a pretty easy endgame to win. Nothing much happened. Trade some pieces, and here he resigned. So that was a pretty nice game for me. It was a U.S. championship, and I won with black against a higher rated player, and I wasn't a grandmaster at the time. I was an IM still, so it was nice being a grandmaster with black in the U.S. championship. Sergey Kudrin didn't have a lot of good U.S. championships. He had a lot of bad U.S. championships. It seemed like in his career he was just good enough to play in the tournament, but not really one of the top 5 or 10 players. So he and Dmitry Gurevich generally had bad results coming in near the bottom. Luckily for me, I wasn't as good as them, so I never played in U.S. championships when I was a weak player or one of the weaker players. I played at my peak, and that was when they were inviting everybody. So when Sergey Kudrin played in U.S. championships, often they had 10 to 15 players, and he was one of the bottom rated. When I played U.S. championships in the mid-2000s, they would have lots of players, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I could finish, with a plus score, even score. So I didn't do so badly. When I did play my first U.S. championship in 1994 in Key West, it was a round robin of 14 players, and I was one of the weaker players, so I came in, 12th, 11th. Something that wasn't so good. So yeah, if I played now, you'd probably stop watching my videos. You'd say, I don't want to watch this video of a guy who gets 0 every time. Okay, so that was a game that I won in the U.S. Championship about 10 years ago against Sergey Kudrin in the Rauzer Sicilian. That was bishop g5 instead of the Sozin. I play black in the Sicilian a lot. I've been playing it for over 20 years, and I have reasonable results, and I have interesting games, because often I don't castle, so we get a lot of crazy positions. All right, so like and subscribe here on the YouTube page. Tell your friends about it. Let's get some more subscribers. Help me with my chess center by donating, atlchessclub.com/donate. Facebook and Twitter again, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.